Donald Fagen, Paul McCartney, and Tom Scholz. Three legends explain how they made the music. First, we sit down at the piano with Donald Fagen of Steely Dan as he reveals the musical genius behind Peg.
Yeah, that's quite a sound. That's really different than, when you're getting into...
Right. Now, the major sound we have...
More open, more airy sound.
Sorry. Notice you can still play your blues figures with minor thirds.
You can still use a regular blues
You can
scale,
if you want to, because it's so close to blues. You have to after a while you get to know where you can do that and where it sounds good and where it doesn't sound good. But essentially you can do that, or you can play if you're improvising over it. You can use a major scale.
You can use either one, actually.
Right.
So then do you follow the regular 12-bar blues?
Exactly. It's precisely
chords?
a 12-bar blues. Maybe you could help me just play through it, and we'll just go through the normal degrees that a blues would have. So 1, 2, 3, and... So that's what we use for the verse part of the song.
Yeah, that really makes it different, though, in a very subtle way.
So let's see. This is an AAB structure, though, which just means one of these sections, and that's the A section, and then another one, starting in the same spot. That's another A section, and then the B section would be a chorus. So we're basically taking a blues structure in the verse, repeating it, and then adding a chorus. Or a hook, a repeated section. The chorus is related to the verse, and then in fact it starts out the very same way. But then we move into the minor area, the relative minor, which is E minor, G being the major, and so the second two chords you have. Together we have. Then we move into some other chords that depart a little bit from what we have so far. We have start on a leading tone to the fourth, which would be a sharp fourth there, or a flat fifth. To a fourth. Back to the tonic. Then we here's a chord built on the 7th degree, which leads to a sort of bebop turnaround.
3-6-2-5.
Exactly, and then back to.
And now we hear from Michael McDonald and his contribution.
I'd worked with them enough to kind of know what I was in for, certain words that they just wanted to hear a certain way that, normally under normal circumstances, people wouldn't, they kind of, this is the words, you hear the parts, you sing it, and, that's the phrasing. But for those guys, phrasing could have such a nuance, that, singing a line like half as much as, you'd think, how many different ways can you say it in that phrasing rhythmically, and but it would come down to such fine points like pronunciation and exact rhythmic, the vibrato, no vibrato, things like that. And so it was always real challenging.
Here's Jay Grayson, who was surprised that he even landed the gig.
When it was all done and I walked out of the door, it's like these guys said, yeah, thanks, man. I mean, they weren't jumping up and down going, they weren't jumping up and down going, this is the keeper, man. This is the one. I'm going, well, who knows? I mean, am I on or off? Well, whatever. This is the job of a studio musician. Every guitarist I know has been replaced or replaces somebody else at some point. It's a fact of being a studio musician. If you let it get to you, you're an idiot, And I don't care. I played it. You don't like it. You want to bring somebody else in? Whatever. Somebody played something. They don't like it. They bring me in. Whatever. You just you get desensitized to this crap. You can't go on the trip. But in any case, there was my solo when the record came out. I didn't know it till it came out.
You didn't know it till you came out?
No, I heard it on the radio.
But for example, I'll give you an interesting thing about Peg. There's only one fill on it that I play twice, and it's all on the snare drum. I remember that I brought this snare drum with me, and it was one that I had gotten from Frank Ippolito at the Pro Drum Shop, and it was Frank told me it was, he was friends with Buddy Rich, and he told me it was Buddy's snare drum, and it was that gray pearl or whatever, and it had those the throws on the Slingerland throws on it, and I pulled the throws off of that, and that was when I used to work on drums a lot, and I pulled the throws off, and I put Ludwig throws on, and changed the snares, and I put a Canasonic head on the top. The thing was so odd, and it sounded great, and I brought that to a lot of sessions I did. Brought that for Steely Dan. Pap, 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 boom, bat, pap. So that's how that whole thing came. I just didn't want to hit the tom-toms.
Wow.
And there was really no reason to hit them.
Next, Paul McCartney tells the incredible story of how Yesterday came to him in a dream.
I had a piano by the bed, and I just woke up one morning with this tune in my head. And I thought, I don't know this tune, or do I? It's like an old jazz tune or something, because my dad used to know a lot of old jazz stuff. Well, maybe I've just remembered it or somewhere. So I sort of went to the piano, found the chords to it. It was like in G, F sharp minor 7, sort of B and that, and kind of just remembered it, made sure I remembered it, and then I just hawked it round to all my friends and stuff and said, what's this, it's got to be something, it's like a good little tune, and I couldn't have written it because I just dreamed it, you don't get that lucky.
And it wasn't until he got the lyric together that he decided to record it, and he said, how should we do it? I said, well, it's a lovely song, super song, I can't really see what Ringo can do on it. I can't really see what heavy electric guitars are going to do on it. Why don't you just go down there and sing it to me with the guitar, and we'll decide what to do with it then.
And it was good actually, because all the others, the guys, I looked at them and I went, oops, solo record, and they said, yeah, it doesn't matter, but there's nothing we could add to it, so do it.
There's a particular bit where the cello moves into kind of bluesy note, and John thought that was terrific. So it was applauded, but it wasn't really a Beatle record. And I discussed this with Brian. I said, this is Paul's song. Should we call it Paul McCartney? He said, no.
And I can't actually remember him making that suggestion, but I wouldn't have done that. We never entertained those ideas. It was sometimes tempting. People would flatter you and say, oh, you should get out front on the band there, or you should put this solo record out. But we always said, nah. In fact, we didn't even ever put it out as a single.
There's so many great songs that you talk about. Of course, Yesterday. I mean, maybe this is one of the greatest songs ever written. I remember seeing you on TV performing this for the first time, and you were sitting there alone. None of the Beatles were around you, and you performed it. And I had never seen the Beatles do that before, and you point out in the book, the Beatles had never once put out a song where it was a solo song, where it was one performance from you. That's kind of generous that John was able to, take himself out of it. He said, I don't think I can add to this song,
Well, to say we were very honest with each other, and that was it. The thing was, for me, it was a little bit embarrassing because I didn't want to be the guy who was out on the stage on his own, because there's a lot of comfort in being in a group of mates. And then suddenly, once I'd done this song, because, it came to me in a dream, and then I wrote the lyrics when I was not with the band, I was on a holiday. And so when I brought it in, it was just me, solo guitar, and that was it. And the guys just said, well, we can't put drums on that, it doesn't need it. And the one guitar is doing enough. But it was a little bit embarrassing, so embarrassing that we elected not to do it as a single in Britain. He said, no, we can't put that out. We're like a rock group, But they insisted in America, so I think it was a single in America. But we didn't kind of really want to do it. We liked it and stuff, but it wasn't a big feature of our stage act.
It's amazing to me, though, Paul, that you didn't say to yourself, oh, shit, I don't need these guys anymore. Some guys take their lucky break and break it in two. You didn't.
Ooh.
You said, no, I'm lucky.
If I'd have had just 3 ropey musicians with me, then maybe that thought starts to occur. Hey, I'm better than these guys. But not when you've got John Lennon, George Harrison, Ringo Starr. You don't mess with that.
Oh, I believe in yesterday.
In the 70s, MIT grad Tom Scholz worked at Polaroid by day. In 1976, he founded Boston and built music gear in his basement at night. Their debut record became one of the best-selling albums of all time. And Polaroid needed to replace an engineer.
My father was in a band when he was younger. He played trumpet. He told me repeatedly, no future in music. Stay away from it. After Boston became a huge hit, I started a company building devices for musicians, novel, new devices. And I remember him on the phone with me saying, what are you doing wasting your time on this engineering stuff? You should be making a new record. Eventually, I had some success with my new electronic equipment company. Then he didn't know what to tell me. I knew I'd get mixed up sooner or later. When I put my own studio together, I wanted to have a place that I might be able to go and get my ideas down on tape. Once I started, I discovered that I had to build devices to create certain sounds that I was looking for. My favorite device is the hyperspace pedal, as I call it. There's only 2 in existence. I built them a long, long time ago. And as I became more adept at using them, I was able to create all the out-of-this-world sounds that people are used to hearing on Boston albums, but haven't heard before, most likely. And lets you sustain a chord indefinitely and do that and stop it whenever you want to. It's very handy little gadget. The benefit of being an engineer and a musician is that you eliminate all the communication between the two. Of course, how do you tell an engineer that you want to be able to do this? I mean, it's not something you can really put into words. So I've been amazed when very well-known guitar players call me and send me messages and make comments in interviews about things that I built. Definitely the biggest thrill was when I got 2 warranty cards from Jeff Beck for a Rockman headphone amp. That was definitely the highlight of my engineering career. Recording in the studio can be stressful, it can just be sheer drudgery sometimes. I have the idea running through my head, and I think I know how a song is going to go, but I can't listen to it. I can't listen to it until I actually play a dozen different parts, each with their own sounds, each with their own character and emotion, and I have to actually physically make it happen. I have to engineer that. I have to get the equipment prepared and produce it. When I have all of that done, then I get to listen to it. And that's the reward. When I'm designing something, I have an idea in my mind of what it might look like, how it might work, how you might feel using it. When I was recording the first Boston album, I thought I was out of my mind for wanting to use my home-engineered contraptions on a professional recording. When I put my foot down and said, this is the way it has to be done, that wasn't because I was confident. I was just going to do what I thought sounded good. And this was the only way I would want to record the music. I always felt insecure about my playing, my music. I was always thinking, you know, I don't think my music is good enough. I don't think it's as good as everything else on the radio. I treat the music world and the whole rock star thing as sort of a fantasy world I get to step into from time to time, and I step back out. I like people to relate to me as just another person that they know, not as the guy who did more than a feeling. It's nice to be appreciated, not so nice to be appreciated for something other than who you are. More than a feeling. I do remember that song. Let's have dinner.
Peg. Yesterday. More than a feeling. They are the soundtrack of our lives. Every note takes us back. Their music lit up the world then, and only grows stronger with time. Yesterday, when all my troubles seemed so far away. Until next time, we'll see you on the radio.